hit again! He's hit his wicket. Hit wicket. So Stark gets the unusual wicket of De Silva. For a moment there was confusion in the middle and still is.
Bowled in excellent from Mark Wood. Yep, just nailed his middle stump.
These are some of the most funniest dismissals of all time. The kind that shock you one second and make you burst out laughing the next.
Oh, he's fallen over, and that's a stumping.
Leg, his front spike got stuck on the pitch. It's come a cropper, all right.
It was Ashes 2023, Edgbaston, Day 1. And just when fans were settling in with snacks thinking it's a normal test morning, cricket decided to drop a glitch in real life. Harry Brook was cruising on 32 off 37 balls with 4 classy boundaries, looking like he might bat all day, until Nathan Lyon rolled in for the 38th over and chose violence. Second ball, perfect length. It pitches and suddenly turns extra, like the surface unlocked a secret level. Plus, it shoots up with nasty bounce. Because of the pace, it thuds into Brook's thigh pad and vanishes into thin air. Keeper, slips, backward short leg, everyone's scanning the area like they lost a contact lens. Brook only realizes where it is when it drops behind him and bumps into his waist. But the real betrayal comes next because the ball rebounds off his body and trickles straight into the stumps. Bales down, Brook frozen, stadium stunned, and he walks back wearing that classic "what just happened" face as chaos officially clocks in for duty. Imagine walking out to bat, heart rate up, crowd noise in your ears, mentally preparing for battle, and your day ends before you even touch the ball. That's exactly what happened to Alex Ross in the BBL 2020-21 Season 10 clash between Perth Scorchers and Sydney Thunder in Canberra. He had just arrived at the crease after Alex Hales got out, standing at the non-striker's end while Sam Billings took strike, probably hoping to settle in and get a feel for the pitch. Then came the fatal idea, a quick single that clearly existed only in one player's head. Ross and Billings hesitated mid-pitch, neither fully committing, both looking like they'd forgotten whose turn it was. Jason Behrendorff seized the moment, swooped in, fired the ball toward the keeper, and Josh Inglis hurled it at the stumps. The throw wasn't even perfect. It bounced once, still crashed into the wicket, and the bails popped off while Ross was nowhere near home. Run out. 0 balls faced. That brutal exit is called a diamond duck. Basically, cricket's way of saying, thanks for coming, now leave.
Come. He's going to go for 2. That was unbelievable. Combination of errors everywhere, and Josh Inglis gets a lucky one.
Dhananjaya de Silva is usually the definition of cool, calm, textbook technique. The kind of guy who looks like he could solve a math problem between deliveries. But during test, even he had a full comedy moment. He was settling in at the crease, trying to get comfortable, when the bowler fired a sharp, good-length ball that climbed awkwardly toward his body. Instinct kicked in. He shuffled sideways to avoid getting hit, deciding survival mode was smarter than heroics. But in that tiny movement, his balance went slightly off. As he leaned back to leave the ball alone, his bat swung behind him just enough to betray him, clipping his own stumps like an accidental self-destruct button. Bails drop, but nobody reacts because, well, nobody saw it coming. The bowler's confused, keeper's confused, Dhananjaya's pretending nothing happened, and then the umpire calmly signals hit wicket, turning the whole thing into one of those "did that really just happen" moments.
Hit again! He's hit his wicket. Hit wicket. So they're pointing it out to the umpires.
If hit wicket feels shocking, this next one looks like cricket turned into a pinball machine. In a Big Bash League clash between Melbourne Stars and Melbourne Renegades, something happened that instantly earned a spot among the most bizarre runouts ever. For a few seconds, nobody on the field or in the stands even understood what they had just witnessed. Renegades all-rounder Dwayne Bravo was on strike and absolutely hammered a shot that rocketed straight back down the pitch, but at a weird angle. Instead of racing to the boundary, the ball zoomed toward non-striker Peter Neville, who had zero time to react. Before he could move, it smashed into his bat and deflected unpredictably, flying sideways like it had changed teams mid-play. And then came the real chaos. The ball crashed straight into Adam Zampa's nose, drawing blood, before ricocheting again into the stumps at the non-striker's end. Neville was out of his crease and scrambling back, but there was no saving this horror sequence. Bails off, umpire's finger up, Zampa holding his face, and everyone else just standing there trying to process the most accidental run-out imaginable.
The West Indians are. They tend to get across the turf pretty quickly. Tossed up again from Zampa. Oh, there's an interesting one. Off Neville's bat, looked to be off the stumps and back into Zampa's face. Bleeding nose, bit of blood coming from the nose there, I think, Adam Zampa.
Well, it is all happening here at Etihad Stadium.
It's like a pinball machine.
Luck doesn't just mess with white ball cricket. Test matches get their share of cruel plot twists too. During the 2022 England vs. New Zealand Test Series, England were cruising at 363 for 6, looking firmly in control and probably planning a mountain of runs. Ben Foakes was at the crease, the dependable wicket-keeper batter who usually minds his business and accumulates quietly. Michael Bracewell tossed up a tempting, flighted delivery. Foakes saw it, smelled opportunity, and charged down the pitch thinking free real estate. But the timing completely betrayed him. The ball dipped, turned just enough, and slipped past his bat like it had somewhere important to be. Suddenly, Foakes is stranded miles outside his crease, doing that awkward half-turn back. Tom Blundell behind the stumps needed no invitation. He whipped off the bails in one smooth motion. Just like that, a calm rebuilding phase turned into a relief moment for New Zealand, with the least threatening bowler producing the breakthrough nobody saw coming. Pressure finals usually bring out superhuman focus, but sometimes they also produce peak gully cricket energy. In the Big Bash League final between Perth Scorchers and Brisbane Heat, a match that eventually gave Scorchers their record 5th title, one moment felt straight out of a neighborhood game. It happened in the 5th over of Perth's innings, with James Bazley bowling. A delivery thudded into batter Eskenazi's body, and both batters instantly took off for a leg bye, what looked like the easiest single of the night. But Eskenazi jogged instead of sprinting, probably assuming nobody would bother. Max Bryant clearly did not get that memo. He charged in, picked up the ball, and fired a rocket at the non-striker's end. The wild part was, Eskenazi had no idea the throw was coming his way, strolling back toward the crease like he was returning from a water break. Then, boom, direct hit, stumps shattered, game over. In a high-stakes final, that casual walk turned into one of the most expensive, lazy singles imaginable. You expect rookies to panic under pressure, but when a veteran hits the self-destruct button, it feels extra painful. Shoaib Malik, a guy with a career longer than some players' childhoods, had one of his most bizarre exits in 2019 against England at Trent Bridge. England had piled up a huge total, Pakistan were chasing under serious pressure, and Malik was at the crease. The supposed calm head meant to steady the ship. Mark Wood came charging in and unleashed a sharp, quick, slightly short delivery. Malik went for a cut shot, but in the process shuffled so deep inside his crease it looked like he was retreating from a charging bull. As he swung, his balance wobbled just enough for the bat to keep traveling backward, straight into his own stumps. The ball sailed safely to the keeper, but the real damage was already done behind him. Bails on the ground, Malik frozen, umpire raising the finger for hit wicket. Watching such an experienced player get out like that was equal parts shocking and painfully awkward. Proof that pressure can humble absolutely anyone. If you think cricket can't invent new ways to ruin a batter's day, this next moment politely disagrees. Henry Mickles was on strike for New Zealand, while Jack Leach floated in a tempting delivery, and Nichols stepped forward with confidence, driving it sweetly straight down the ground. Off the bat, it looked perfect, the kind of shot you admire for a split second before jogging a run. But standing at the non-striker's end was Daryl Mitchell, who suddenly realized the ball was coming straight at him like an incoming missile. He tried to dodge, but the ball clipped his bat completely by accident. No intent, no swing, just wrong place, wrong time. That tiny deflection popped the ball up into the air like a cruel prank, looping gently toward mid-off, where Alex Lees was waiting with the easiest catch of his life. One moment, Nichols is admiring a clean drive. The next, he's walking back because his own teammate unintentionally assisted the opposition. Test cricket rarely gets this bizarre, and when it does, you just stare at the replay wondering how that sequence even existed. Inzamam ul Haq is remembered for big runs, clutch knocks, and that unbothered captain energy. But he also owns some of the most unforgettable comedy dismissals in cricket history. The most famous one came in 2006 during the Leeds Test against England at Headingley. Monty Panesar, England's left-arm spinner, was bowling while Inzamam looked comfortably set, calmly trying to control the innings in his usual unhurried style. Panesar floated one that turned just a touch, and Inzamam went for a classic sweep to send it to the leg side. Simple plan, except his feet suddenly betrayed him. Mid-shot, his balance vanished. His foot slipped, and instead of finishing the sweep, he toppled backward like a slow-motion replay nobody asked for. As he fell, both his body and bat crashed into the stumps, sending the bails flying before the ball had even completed its journey. Inzamam just sat there stunned, while the entire England team burst out laughing, witnessing a dismissal that felt more like a blooper than Test cricket.
All out. Inzamam's out now too. Monty Panesar deserves that wicket.
Sometimes a batter doesn't even play a shot and still loses everything. And that's exactly what happened in a big bash clash between Brisbane Heat and Melbourne Stars. Duffield had just struck on the very first ball of his spell, instantly cranking the pressure to max. And now, Glenn Maxwell walked in, the human highlight reel, who usually starts swinging before the field even settles. Everyone expected fireworks. Instead, Duffield delivered a peach that shaped in from outside off on a perfect length. Maxwell judged it would keep going across and casually left it, probably already planning the next boundary. But the ball had other ideas. At the very last moment, it swung back in sharply, snuck through the gate Maxwell never closed, and detonated the middle stump. By the time he turned around, the bails were already airborne, and the crowd was halfway between shock and laughter. Even Duffield looked surprised, like he'd just unlocked an achievement by accident. Because knocking over Maxwell without him offering a shot is basically every young bowler's dream scenario. Some decisions don't just change a match. They start arguments that last for decades. The 1999 Adelaide Test between Australia and India delivered one of those moments, featuring Glenn McGrath versus Sachin Tendulkar at his absolute peak. The kind of contest where the entire stadium goes silent just to watch. McGrath banged in a short ball, a proper bouncer, and Sachin did what he'd done 1,000 times, calmly ducking to let it sail over his head. Except this one forgot the script. The ball didn't climb enough and smacked straight into his left shoulder instead. No pad, no bat, just shoulder. Everyone expected a routine dot ball. Then, out of nowhere, umpire Daryl Harper raised the finger for LBW. Sachin just stood there, stunned, probably replaying physics in his head, because LBW usually requires the ball to hit the pads in line with the stumps, not the upper body. Replays later made it look even worse, but the decision stood. Tendulkar walked back for a duck, and the shock lingered as Australia eventually crushed India by 285 runs. So, those were some of the funniest and most jaw-dropping dismissals in cricket. Now you tell me in the comments which moment was your absolute favorite. And if you want to see the most funniest moments in cricket history, then click on this video right now.